it's time for you to get out your wallets. Remember Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac? Well, you bailed them out to the tune of, ready for this, $140 billion. But they, last week, asked for a bit more. They want $6 billion more. Oh, and that's not all. They are asking you for a little pre-holiday spirit. The executives are asking for a $13 million in bonuses, not for the Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. They want that for themselves. So, are you in the mood to pay it? Senator John Thune joins us, who apparently is not in the mood to pay it, because you sent a letter off. You're not for that. Where's your holiday cheer?
Good question, Greta. Definitely not in. My holiday cheer isn't in support of $12.8 million in bonuses for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae executives.
So, what's the letter you wrote? And apparently, you weren't the only one who's on this letter. It's quite a hefty list of senators who are unhappy about this.
It is. We had 60 senators sign a letter to the executive at the Federal Housing Finance Agency, and basically saying that they need to re-examine their federal or their employee compensation package to make it more accurately reflect the public mission of the agency, as well as the fiscal realities that we're facing today. I mean, these bonuses just show a real tin ear to what's happening in the real economy out there, and having 14 million Americans who are unemployed.
You know, the letter I read, it's signed by the 60 senators, is such a nice senator-like letter. I would have written it for the first line would be, "Are you out of your mind?" I mean, really. I mean, it was actually astounding, because not only were they asking for, you know, $12, $13, $14 million in personal bonuses, but they were also asking for billions more in aid. So it's not like they're coming and saying, "Look how successful we are, look how great things we've done." But they're also asking for another handout. So I'm not particularly impressed with what they've done.
Right, and I think the letter was designed, obviously, to get 60 senators to sign a letter. You can't have to find language everybody agrees with. I probably would have made it a lot harder myself. But I think we called them wildly imprudent. We said that this was wasteful, and we talked about, again, coming back and creating a compensation structure that is just really more consistent with the public mission of the agency. And Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, although they're not officially debt of the federal government, they are off-balance sheet debt, and of course we've seen the taxpayers have had to bail them out to the tune of over $140 billion so far. So this is, to me, it is, I think most people would find it outrageous, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed and dealt with, and I think it's something that the president, frankly, needs to get involved with as well, because this is something that's happened on his watch. He was very critical of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae when he was running for office, and the types of pay that was made to some of their senior officials.
Well, I tell you, the man who spoke last week testified, Edward DeMarco, who's the man who's making the decision on this, and I think it's worth noting that the executives who are in line to get this, to divvy up this $13 million in bonuses, are being paid salaries of $900,000. So it's not like, you know, they don't have substantial salaries to begin with. But he said in testifying something to the effect that that they need to pay off bonuses to attract, you know, good talent. The good talent won't come around unless you pay. And I thought to myself, good talent. If they have good talent, why do they need another bailout? I mean, this isn't exactly good talent. Maybe we could pay it just to get rid of them, so we don't have to pay another $6 billion next quarter.
Right. Well, and these are the guys that were brought in to kind of clean up the mess. And you know, so far they're asking for another $6 billion. They have reduced what we think is going to be the liability the taxpayers owe for the Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae bailout significantly over the course of the last year. But that being said, they're asking for an additional $6 billion in taxpayer assistance at a time when they're making these big bonus payments, and it just looks terribly inconsistent, and I think it is an outrage. And I think, you know, you've got to show a little bit more of an ear for what's going on in this country right now, and how important it is that we get our fiscal house in order, how important it is that we get people in the real economy back to work. This just doesn't square with that.
I take it that we didn't sort of tie them up and handcuff them and drag them into these $900,000 jobs, right? They came voluntarily.
Right. And
I mean, so it's like, so it's not like they're forced to take it. And when they got these jobs, did we promise them this $13 million to be divvied up in bonuses?
I don't know the answer to that for certain. What I know is that the Federal Housing Finance Agency, in the consultation with the Treasury, sets this. Now, the President's czar sort of set the pay for a lot of these things a long time ago, but I think the bonuses are probably all something that's very discretionary. And you would think that if it's discretionary, you wouldn't want to make those types of payouts right now. Now, the House of Representatives is working on legislation to reform Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae in a way that would create a new structure for the pay for these. It's more consistent with what other federal employees might receive.
Other people's money. Boy,
Well,
it's easy to spend it, isn't it?
Well, it really is, and like I said, this struck us when we saw this. It was like, my gosh, we have got to get on the record here, and so that's what the letter was designed to do. And frankly, they ought to cancel, they ought to rescind these bonuses.
Senator John McCain was he was on the floor about 15 minutes, pounding the podium. He was furious. He was so enraged.
Yeah, John's very well, as are a lot of people. I mean, a lot of my colleagues. That was why it was so easy to get signatures on the letter when we started circulating it, because all you had to do is say, "Do you see these bonuses that they're paying out?" And everybody's like, "I'll sign, I'll sign." But I think that's the kind of reaction the American people have, and that's why it's so important that there be some action taken to correct or rectify
Are you
this.
going to stop it? You're actually going to stop this?
Well, there are going to be efforts made, I think, legislatively. I think there are going to be measures made legislatively. So we will do everything we can to put pressure on these guys to try and get this thing canceled.
Senator, thank you, sir.